This is the Art of Network Engineering podcast. In this podcast, we'll explore tools, technologies, and talented people. We aim to bring you information to expand your skill sets and toolbox and share the stories of fellow network engineers.
In a world where Layer 2 extension reigns supreme, spanning tree pushed to its limits, and no overlay in sight, where phones buzz with constant meeting notifications, and you work right through lunch because, well, your office is in your kitchen now. Amid the ups and downs, the trials and tribulations, a podcast has emerged, a show about network engineering and other stuff. The cast of characters include the fearless leader, the guy you find wherever books are sold, the lovable beard, the avid barbecue John, and the guy whose greatest contributions are goofy introductions. Premiering right now, and if you're lucky, you didn't even have to listen to this because hopefully Andy cut out this intro entirely. This is The Art of Network Engineering, rated R for ridiculous.
Welcome back to another episode of the Art of Network Engineering. Thank you, Tim, for that wonderful introduction. I love how we just do that live and roll right into the episode. It's not spliced in there.
There's no reason in 2021 to do anything absolutely at all live, but here we are. Like a 3-ring circus.
That's Aaron. Aaron's back. Welcome back, Aaron. How you been, man?
Hanging in there, like that poster with the two kittens on the tree branch. Hanging in there.
Excellent. It's great to have a full crew tonight. I love it. It's been so long since we've had everybody here. So welcome back, Aaron. Dan, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Yourself?
Not too bad.
Good.
Getting ready to, rack up some more air miles tomorrow. Gonna go get some more hotel points this weekend. Got some more work to do in a data center somewhere in an undisclosed location. Gonna play with some Nexus VPC. Should be a lot of fun.
There you go. VPC.
Let's see. Andy, how you doing?
Good choice. I'm good, man. I'm very happy that my pool is finally up. I fought it for weeks. There was heavy equipment involved. There was mud. There was pain. It was a hard-fought dad battle, and it's finally full and up. So it's going to be 90 degrees in northeastern PA this weekend. And
What?
yeah, well, 93. We will have a pool this weekend. So that is my highlight of my life right now. Thank you.
Yeah,
Just
there's
go
some.
from super hot or super cold to super hot. Just
Yeah, there's no spring or fall anymore. It's either freezing or hot as hell, and I don't know when that happened, but
It's the same thing happening up here in Vermont. So
Okay.
like I just said, I'm heading out for the weekend, and my wife was just like, "You need to put in the air conditioner before you leave because it's going to be stupid hot this weekend
so
and early next
crazy.
week." And it's going to be in the 90s, starting tomorrow through the weekend.
We had rain today.
Oh, yeah.
It felt pretty good in the afternoon.
Yeah, today was nice. And last but not least, Tim, how you doing?
I got in trouble this week, AJ.
Oh no.
What'd you do?
Well, you remember on our time management episode last week, I made the
mismanage your time?
comment that I wasn't a big fan of when certain people put things on my desk.
You said
maybe I didn't put it that nicely, but you get the gist.
You
We
said
don't
she
need to
wasn't a
revisit
listener,
that.
right? She's not a listener.
Yeah, she's not a listener. So I went upstairs earlier this week, yesterday, and she's standing outside watching the kids play, and she's got her little earbud in. She's like, "Hey, I'm listening to your episode."
busted.
Luckily, I haven't seen her since. 24 hours I've avoided her. It's been incredible.
Just down in the basement.
Are you at home or have you moved to an apartment?
Yeah.
That's why he uses the backdrop. You can't tell.
Yeah,
I'm
right.
not willing to get into that right now, Andy.
He's in the back of his van down by a river. I'm sorry,
No,
Tim.
things are great. Thank you.
That'll teach you. That'll teach you.
What about you, AJ?
I'm doing well.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You don't sound too bent out of shape by the traveling thing these days. It was kind of really a thorn in your side there for a minute. You kind of itching at it now, or what?
I'm at peace with it.
Okay, it's just a thing then.
It's just a thing now. I can't fight it. Everybody on my team's doing it.
Okay.
So I don't feel like I should warm the bench any more or less than, anybody else is. So, got to do what I got to do.
Okay, I can't beat him, join him, huh?
That's right.
All right, look at you, adapt and overcome. Modern problems call for modern solutions.
Excellent. Let's talk about social. Let's get in social. So let's see. We have our Instagram page. We have a Facebook page. We're definitely on Twitter. We've got our YouTube channel, and we've got a new look to our YouTube channel. So if you haven't checked it out yet, please go over to youtube.com/The Art of Network Engineering. And you will see all the new updates to our YouTube videos. So we got a beautiful animated logo. And Dan has done some nice work in Photoshop. We got a beautiful overlay you're going to see in all of our videos going forward. So we're just trying to, crank things up a notch. But please subscribe, follow, like, tweet, and I don't know, whatever else you do on all those other social pages, because all of those numbers help us out quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
This episode is sponsored by us. We have a merch store. If you haven't checked it out yet, you can go to artofneteng.com/store, and you will find lots of merch with our logo on it. Every purchase has a little bit. I've trimmed the fat. I've taken as much profit out of every product, so that way we're giving you the lowest price, and we're getting the minimal amount back for each product that you buy. And with the product profit that we do get, we're going to use that to cover our costs, which are really not a whole lot, for recording the show. We may make some improvements from time to time, like buying an animated logo. And then everything else we're going to take and we're going to put it right back in the community, as hopefully if you've followed us for a while, you've seen us do before. We gave away a DevNet Associate kit that included the books and a Raspberry Pi. That was a huge hit. We want to do that again someday. So please, if you want to help, go buy some merch.
So really, what you meant to say is this episode is sponsored by you.
Yes, that's
Potentially.
The followers,
Yes,
yeah.
that's right.
Hopefully.
That's right.
Please. Pretty please.
There's a new addition to the store. There's a couple of new additions. So we've added some tapestries. You can get a beautiful tapestry with the Art of Network Engineering logo. You can get a fleece blanket. So if for some reason you're feeling cold when it's 93 degrees outside, you can wrap yourself up in a fleece blanket with an A1 logo and feel extra toasty.
All right.
And there's now pint glasses. I ordered.
Yeah.
I got 5 of those on order, fellas. And when they come in, I'm going to turn them right back around and send them out to you all. And we'll be able to
y'all
check
need to get
those
on board
out.
for that.
Nice.
That's very versatile, those pint glasses.
Yes. You can drink water or other
Water?
liquid beverages.
You need water.
Absolutely.
You know what
all
else?
the time.
You know what else you can drink? Water.
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 Drink water.
Water or water.
Water. If you drink water, you can get an A1 pint glass.
I'm excited for that glass. I need that.
Do you drink salsa water?
Seltzer.
So I don't know. I think that's how somebody in Massachusetts might say it. I'm not sure.
I'm not from Boston, man.
I know you're not, but I'm thinking, I'm trying to mesh the two together.
You're
Somebody
closer to
from New
Boston
England.
than I am.
And thank God I don't have the accent.
Okay, same team, guys. Same team. Okay.
He started, Dad.
Both of you two New England nerds. Keep it down over there.
I don't know. Should I be concerned that right after I started on here full time, AJ goes out and gets pint glasses? Are you
No,
catering
not
to
at
me
all.
or something?
Once
No,
everybody
I'm
fill
catering
up
to
on
me.
it.
You just happen to, also benefit from it.
Spread
Yeah,
the
so
love.
lots of great new merch. Please support. And like Aaron said, this episode could be sponsored by you. And when
And
you
people
do
like
buy
you.
something, if you remember the Discord, you can put in your Discord handle and a nice little shout out, and we will see it. It'll pop up in the hashtag A1Fans channel. Every purchase that gets made through the Teespring store, our merch store, will pop up in that channel so everybody can see what you're buying.
I think we should add something new, like when the winning goat gets their name, maybe we could do like an AONE winning goat t-shirt or something like that. Give people an incentive to go buy something because they already have
I think we got some stuff in the works.
Yeah, nice.
Once the goat has the name.
I want a winning goat t-shirt, personally.
I still want to find where we can get some of these with our logo on it.
Well,
Yes.
if
Yeah,
it
that would be nice.
if it gets the nickname that's in the lead right now,
I
this
wouldn't
could
be
get
upset.
No, I wouldn't either. But it's just gonna be real interesting. You know what I mean? Like,
We'll have to
Just,
like abbreviate it.
yeah, right. Like, or just, I like, how do you like just cleverly like slap? I don't think you can. You know, it just is what it is. You know what I mean?
That was great. When I saw somebody like recommend that name, I'm like, that is perfect.
I know,
that is
dude.
perfect.
Of course, I voted for it, and then I pumped it up. But yeah. So if you haven't voted for that too, by the way, is it closed already?
It is not close. Well, so
By
here's
the time this
here's the
releases.
conundrum. By the time this episode,
Yeah.
posts, it
Okay.
will be closed. But
All
We're
right.
time travelers here.
yeah, we are. We are.
Weird.
But, all right. Next on the list, we are coming up on our anniversary date. We've been doing this for 10 months now. I'm very excited to share with you all that as of tonight, moments ago, I checked the stats. We are at 83,000 total downloads since we started 10 months ago.
Yeah.
Crazy.
You all made it happen.
That's
Trying
amazing.
Yes,
to hit that 100K mark
before the 1 year anniversary. I think we're going to
before
do
the
it.
1 year.
I'm not sure. I'm not a betting man, but I feel like it's going to happen.
And last month was our best month, right? It kind of blew previous months out of the water.
Yeah, absolutely. It was like
So,
14.5.
so tell your friends, you know, you listen, you're at work, tell them, check it out. You know, I don't often give you recommendations. You know me. I'm a stand-up dude. You could trust me. Go listen to these guys. They're smart. Sometimes they just talk for no reason. You know, you'll love it. I swear. Pint glasses.
Anyway, so coming up for episode 50, we want to do our first Ask Us Anything episode. If you have a question you're dying to ask either all of us or one of us, here's what we want you to do. We want you to record yourself asking the question. You can do it audio only. If you're feeling daring, you can do it on video. Let us know that you're going to record something. You can send it to us, and we will work that into the episode and answer your questions. So please get us your questions. You can contact us through Twitter, DM us on any social platform where you can find us. You can also email us directly at artofnetworkengineering@gmail.com. You can also go to our website, artofnetworkengineering.com, and there's a contact page. Just fill out the little contact form, and it will get us right to our inbox. So please, again, ask us questions. Let us know who you're asking the question to, whether it's one of us or all of us, and then ask your question away, and we will answer it on our Ask Us Anything episode. We are planning
Anything at
that.
all.
Anything. If you want to know how big Andy's John is,
Oh my
whatever
God.
John is.
Hey,
John is
we just
anything,
lost our
right?
sponsor.
No, a John, like the way you use John, it's like everything.
Well,
and
the way
nothing.
you use it is a little risky.
Hey,
That's all I'm
how
saying.
you decide how I use it is up to you. I can't help
listen,
get your
Well,
minds in the gutter.
The viewers
That's
just saw
not
the
my-
panel's faces when you did that, so that'll speak for itself.
Whoa.
Everybody went,
I can't help that you guys are a bunch of dirty people. That's not my fault.
I mean,
Could be talking about your chair. Could be talking about the monitors behind you. You use John in such a universal fashion. I don't know why.
it just
You
sounded
immediately
dirty
took
coming
it-
out of your Vermont mouth. That's all.
So
yeah,
much
it
maple
has ill
syrup.
intent.
That's how you
Very-
interpret it, Andy. I feel sorry for you.
Again, folks, go to YouTube, watch the episode, and watch the
Everywhere.
panels. Everybody's faces went.
I mean, it was hard to hide.
We have some fun here. So Ask Us Anything, episode 50. This is episode 47. Help us out. Ask us some questions, and we will get those in the show. Can't wait any longer. It's time for some wins.
Yeah.
This week, we have a young man from the Discord. He passed his CompTIA Network Plus exam. Congratulations, a young man.
Oh,
Very
Good
nice.
job, young man.
A big one. A Wande 2.0 passed their CCNA.
Oh, yeah.
Got
Very
that new
nice.
CCNA lockdown. Congratulations.
Well done.
So huge.
Davey87, David Alicia, was named a mentor in a new program at DeVry University, which he is an alumni. And it's a program for women in tech. So he's going to be a mentor for women in tech. So congratulations, David.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
He's
Brand new
perfect for
program.
that too.
Oh, yeah.
Really
he's
perfect
great.
for that.
I always forget about DeVry.
I need a mentor.
Did you go to DeVry?
No,
Yeah.
I just need a mentor.
Oh, okay. I'll be your mentor.
Anybody willing
Thanks.
to mentor Andy?
You teach
On
me
anything.
some barbecue. I'll teach you whatever you want.
Like mentor him on anything.
You know, that's an interesting possible new sponsorship opportunity. Finding a way to mentor Andy.
He's gonna ask you, "How do you do it? How do you do it?"
Like, this is crazy, man.
All right,
It's like
one more winning before we get too far behind here. Mike Vest recently accepted an offer for a help desk position. So congratulations, Mike,
Nice.
for finally
in there.
breaking in.
Yeah,
Getting in that
good
door.
job.
Yeah.
Get your foot in there.
Nailed it. And that's the end of the winning section for this week. Congratulations, everybody. If you want to hear your name on the podcast, join our Discord and drop your wins. Could be anything. And hashtag winning. And every week just before the show, I collect all the wins from the previous week and we read them off right now during the introduction of the podcast. So you want to get on that, join us.
So I'm happy that the goat is catching on, but I'm simultaneously sad that now other people are ringing the winning goat. That used to be my thing. You beat me to it. Now I don't have a thing. Dan has
And
Howdy.
other people are naming it.
Yeah, Dan had
That's
Howdy. I had the
violating.
goat. Right.
All right. Well, I mean, I guess I'll keep my go to
No,
myself.
no, it's good. It's. I mean, this is what happened.
Keep your goat to yourself.
This is what
You
happens.
sounded a little salty.
No, I'm a little sad. You know,
You know what though? I love that we're seeing so many of these pop up.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
people are posting pictures of it. They're
Right.
buying into.
Are they?
Oh
Oh yeah. It's
That's
people were
the
posting in the
best.
Discord
It's really funny.
earlier that they got their own
Oh
goats
my
now.
gosh.
This goat is very therapeutic.
We got a flock of goats. Like
Yeah, it's
maybe
very
that's a new
cool.
name for the A1 fans. Like if you're an A1 fan, maybe you're an A1 goat. I don't know.
Is-
What are they
A
is
flock
that-
of goats.
Is that what they're called? Flock?
Is
I
it
don't
a
know,
flock?
I kind of figured a goat was like a sheep
herd?
and sheep are flocks. A herd.
Oh, now we gotta
that
look it
works.
up. You keep the show going. I'll look it up.
Yeah, we gotta figure this out.
Real
Maybe it's a-
time fact check by Andy.
Yeah, that
Is
was.
it a gaggle?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, gaggle's a good one.
I feel like a goat is it not a family?
Maybe. I know it like a young goat's a kid.
Yeah.
And I only know that because I used to work with somebody who would raise kids.
Yeah.
As
Yeah,
in,
my,
Whoa.
my aunt has like 120
and they wanted
goats.
to be able to access a remote webcam from the work network that would let them see their goats.
Okay.
They're kids.
Yeah, the kids.
You're not gonna believe this.
What is it?
A group of goats is called a trip.
A trip? Spell
Why?
that.
Who does this? Why can't we just say group of goats?
I mean, I think we just keep it flock of goats, but it says a herd, tribe, or trip is what a group of goats is
herd.
called.
See?
Yeah, that's a trip, man.
But
Yeah.
you know
Trip.
that's the first hit. The second hit is it's called a trip. So there
Okay.
you go.
Interesting.
So you say like that's a trip?
A trip,
Or do you say-
a trip of goats. A gathering of
Sure.
goats is officially called a trip.
Crazy.
Nah,
So-
it's a
so-
gaggle of Johns.
So there you go.
Gaggles
But you
on
know,
Johns.
It's not that trippy.
if you love something, set it free. And I'm glad everybody has goats now. And I'm just gonna sit back and enjoy, I guess.
Yeah, it's got to be pretty violating. You know, not only does everybody like have it and then abuse the hell out of it, but just the simple fact that like the crowd is all gonna voice their opinion on what his official name is gonna be. I think that's the best part.
And the most
Like it's stripping you of everything.
and the dumbest possible name is in the lead.
I know.
The absolute dumbest possible
I
name.
know.
Hot buttery udders.
Exactly. That to me, that's the best part too, because it's like, oh, which one of these would Andy hate the most?
No,
and
well-
it's like, oh, something related to Aaron. There you go.
A nickname that was revealed in an episode Aaron and I did.
Yep. There you go.
His wife didn't even know this high school nickname. So
Nope.
these are the kind of treasures we unearth in this show.
Oh,
It's
man.
good. It's good stuff.
I don't know if you guys saw Tony E on Twitter. It's just like, did I miss some conversation here? Like, where did hot buttery
I
udders
did
come
see that.
from? It's just like, oh yeah, you missed a good episode with.
Yeah,
with
somebody
Andy
set
and
him
Aaron.
straight. They were like, nope, you got to go listen to this.
You gotta
It's
go
pretty
listen to the
weird.
episode.
It is great. I mean, it's why I love this show and you guys. Like, just it's just ridiculous. Like, that's now going to be part of the lexicon. Hot buttery udders. Like, you know what I mean? There's no other tech podcasts that are this much fun.
Oh no,
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 So-
that's not how you.
unique.
What were we supposed to talk about? Oh yeah.
Well, we're getting there. We're getting there. We
Yeah.
finally made it through all the introductory stuff.
20
yeah.
So let's talk about on call. I'm sure all of you guys have been
Oh yeah.
on call. Some of you are probably on call right now.
That's where the money's at, man.
That's where the stress
It
is
used
at.
to be. It used to be. There was a point in my career where I was on call and I was still hourly, and I got the double time hourly rate, the extra kick in for
Yep.
being on call. The
Yep.
I don't know, so much extra for carrying the pager, and then I made it to salary land, and there was no extra kickbacks for me.
See, I've never been on call in a salaried situation. That sounds weird. I mean, they don't pay you extra to do that.
No.
Not when I hit IT manager for a company, and then I just still participate in the on call process.
Yeah.
And usually it was just to like
But
relieve somebody on my team from having to do it for a week.
yeah, but like you also knew that it wasn't just like one day out of nowhere. They were like
Right.
somebody would say to me like, "Hey, by the way, you didn't know this probably, but that $65,000 that you signed on the dotted line that also includes like 40 extra hours of work every week." You know.
Right.
In the middle of the night.
Right. Exactly. Like I don't think
Yeah.
you can't exactly spring that on somebody. You know what I mean?
Oh, they can.
And they do.
Well, no. I just mean like
yeah.
like to that extent. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
like oh, I'm not getting paid extra for it type of thing. You know what I
Right.
mean?
I've heard
So
people.
I've
get,
only
get paid, for on call, and people don't, salary to non-salary. I've heard both. I mean, you should definitely get paid extra for being called, woken up at 1 a.m. into a stressful situation.
Well,
but-
hell yeah, I would. Yeah, into a stressful. That's the
Yeah.
one part that like I think is just is always kind of overlooked. It's like it's one thing to get woken up at like 2 a.m, but
Right.
when it's like, hey, everything's not working.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
sometimes my kid wakes me up because they have to pee, but like when the building's
That's-
burning down and
Right.
people
Yeah.
are calling you,
Right.
you're like,
yeah.
wait, what?
Oh man, that's a nightmare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I would say if you have the opportunity and you know that there's going to be some sort of on-call involved, to make sure that you knew that ahead of time.
Yeah,
I guess maybe that's a takeaway before we get too deep into this.
absolutely. Yeah, definitely part of the interview process. Like, is there an on call, and how do you treat the
Yeah.
on call? And
My first on call was as a cable guy.
Yeah, that's what same.
And I believe
Yep.
we did get a bump, like when you were on call, whatever it was, you'd put it in
Yep.
your timesheet, and I think you got extra. And so when you're calling the cable company, like unless you're, a big wig somewhere, typically they're not going to call the on-call cable guy to go out and like look at your internet. Like it's 2 in the morning. But the 2 times I remember being called on call, one was for a company executive. So the power was out, I think, and we had a generator at his node, which is what powers the cable plant out there. And they had somebody sitting out front of this guy's palace 24/7, keeping his generator full of gas so that his cable didn't go out. So that was my first on call, was to keep an executive's generator full
is
of
that
gas.
part of triple play?
Right. And,
Yeah.
and the other one was also generator work. It was after a hurricane. I don't remember if it was Sandy or what, but we had generators everywhere because the power lines had gotten destroyed when
Yeah.
it moved through, and generators were everywhere powering the plant. And you had to keep putting gas in them so that was kind of like my first experience.
You never
with
went
on-call.
out like for like mainline issues in the middle of the night?
I mean, the linemen kind of took care of the big stuff that went down. They really didn't need us. Like,
Yeah.
they're not going to send you in somebody's home at 1:30 in the morning because like on demand isn't working. You know what I mean? Like,
Exactly.
Yeah.
it was always
pay-per-view
outages, yeah.
specials.
Like
that I
big
wanna
stuff,
watch at
right.
2
like,
in the morning.
Yeah, like if the linemen needed us, like, hey, there's something big going on. We need help. But yeah, I think it was really just keeping generators running, after storms and stuff.
Yeah. It's like 2 degrees outside and there's like a hailstorm and all this other stuff happening, like this wintry mix going on, and it's like the power lines are covered in ice and they're sagging down like 6 feet, and you got to climb up there.
But what's nice about that is you can see it coming, like and your boss is
Yeah.
telling you like, hey, you're probably gonna need you tonight.
And you could be like, hey, look, like for this foreseeable future, because no, you're right, that didn't always happen, right? So it was like, yeah, it was very, in a way,
rare,
I
right?
guess it was predictable
Yeah.
to that degree, though, right? Because that was like, oh crap, the storm of the century is coming. That's
Yeah.
for me. That's how it
Yeah.
always happened. It was
Right.
like, oh, this is a storm that knocks out power for like 5 days or something.
And it wasn't stressful. Like,
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it was as stressful as like disaster cleanup can
Yeah,
be, because that's what it was. Very methodical and
Mhm.
slow and repetitive,
Right.
and it was just like never ending, like 19, 20, 22 hours a day type thing, like. Phew. But yeah, I've never done it in a salary position because I wouldn't even know how to approach that. But like I in any salary position I've ever been in, I was never like tied to like a 9 to 5 or an 8 to 5 or something. So it's like, okay, so if somebody's scheduling you to be on call 2 nights a week, let's say, but I'm traveling 2 nights a week for 5 hours at a time, I mean, yeah, I mean, like one is a lot more work obviously than another, but in a way, but like, is it though? Because I mean, I can make a case for both being kind of equally a pain in the ass,
Right.
in their own way.
Yeah.
AJ, you probably obviously know what I'm talking about. 'Cause
Oh,
it's
yeah.
dear to your heart.
Yeah.
But
I've been in like, I think both of those kind of on-call situations where it's like organized and people take turns, there's rotations, there's kind of like defined, like, okay, you're on call from this time to this time, and then somebody else is going to take over kind of thing. And then there's just the perpetual on call, like forever, just because that's what the position demands, right? Like you get issued a phone, there's no like stipend or extra kickbacks. It's just if something happens and it's in your domain, you're going to get called.
That's part of the deal though. Like, it's weird, like if they don't call it out, like, hey, you're getting paid extra for this, or like like Andy alluded to earlier, I think we got like, it would give us like $23 a day or something. I think
that
it
rings
was
a bell. Yeah.
yeah, if you were on call. But the other thing that I think is often overlooked too is like, on call's a pain in the butt because it's so unpredictable in that regard.
Yeah.
Because like, you're actually almost guaranteed to not get called as much as you are to get called. And I never talk about that. Like, it's just the anticipation. You're going to bed like, gosh, I could be called. It's like, it's almost as bad. Like, you might as well call me. I was just kind of laying there. Like, anytime something bumped over here, I'm like, and now I look at my phone. Did I miss a call? Did I miss a text? That kind of thing.
So is it safe to say like every network engineer position has on call with it? Like, are there places?
I mean,
that
I would
think
have
you
to
would have
imagine.
to, right?
Most IT positions that I've worked in have had some form of on call.
Because even if you have a knock, which I always have, they still escalate and they need higher tiered people. So it seems like an evil. It comes with the job, right?
It comes
if
with
you're a
territory,
network
for sure.
engineer, you're gonna be on call.
Right.
Yeah.
And also one thing, you guys were talking about, getting $23 a day or something like that. There's other ways that a company can compensate you on maybe not just straight up pay. So what our company did for a while, and they still kind of do it, but they kind of call it comp time, right? And so let's say if I'm working a problem at 11 o'clock at night and I have to work for 3 hours straight or something like that, well, we have this honor system bank of hours where it's like, hey, I had 3 hours there, I'm gonna take off 3 hours early Friday or something like that.
Oh, that's pretty sweet.
And it's just kind of understood that hey, this is the kind of work we deal with, so you're still getting in your 40 hours a week type thing. It just might be at different times of the day, right? So I don't know.
And I think that's a culture thing to feel out too when you're going in to an interview. That kind of thing is you're asking, what is the on-call rotation like?
How often?
And
right?
how often, and how do you feel about handling if I've got to work multiple hours overnight? Just to kind of feel out what that culture's like, I think is important.
And I think one thing too is you probably should ask them, like, okay, so I'll give an example. At our place, we don't have a rotation, right? We're just all on call 24/7 basically. And so you probably should ask about that, right? You should probably ask, hey, what does it look like? Is it a rotation? Is it 24/7? How does that work?
So do you get called often, Dan? I mean, you're on call 24/7, 365. It sounds like.
So correct, and it helps having a team, right? Because if we know someone's going to be going on vacation and stuff, they're obviously not going to try to bother them, that kind of thing. Or like if I'm going out of town, I let my team know that hey, I'm going to be out of town, so I'd rather not pick up the phone, basically. But
so why wouldn't you do a rotation? Like, why are all of you guys on all the time?
That wasn't our call.
Yeah.
That's just the way the management's done it.
Sure. So do they call everybody at once? Like everybody gets a call?
It depends on what the problem is. So the way that we figured this out is like certain systems have certain owners, right? And so if that system has an issue, they'll call that owner, basically.
That's good.
And then. But one thing too is, so when I first started, we used to have a lot of issues. So I got called a lot, and it kind of sucked, right? But as we've improved our network over time, those calls started going down and down and down, right? And now rarely. Let me knock on wood real quick. I mean I don't get called that often anymore, so that's nice. But so that should be an incentive to try to design your networks right, and don't do crazy stuff just because it's cool. I try to keep my network simple, man.
Yeah. I had a similar experience, Dan, on my old team when I was on the WAN team. The WAN had been I guess not cared for as much as you might want to, and there were a lot of landmines, and there was 3 of us on the team, so every third week you were on call, and you just never knew when that phone was going to ring because stuff would just get triggered all the time. Yeah. But they brought in a WAN architect, and we got it all cleaned up, or most of it cleaned up over a couple years. And you're right that the calls went from like almost non-existent.
Yeah.
I think the worst calls I used to not like getting was, so you'd have a knock and you'd get woken up and you'd hop on and you're getting the download what's going on, and you would ask on the bridge like, okay, so what's been done? And like you just find out nothing. Like nobody did any troubleshooting, nobody did anything. It's just
that's
somebody called, they saw there was a problem, and they just sprayed and prayed and like call everybody, get everybody on the bridge.
Yeah.
And again, like Tim, you mentioned culture. We were able to work with our NOC resources to kind of like, hey guys, here's basic network troubleshooting. Let's go through this before we start, paging everybody out. So between fixing the network, like you said, making it more reliable, and then working with your teams, hey, don't just page everybody all at once, because you could do a couple things for 5 or 10 minutes to dig around, and because then it helps the engineers that get on the bridge. Like, oh, okay, what's going on? What do you see? As opposed to, I don't know, something's broke, everybody's pissed. Check it out. They're not fun.
When you let your users be the warning system, that's not the best of approach or policy.
Yeah, we used to call that the scream test.
Scream test, yeah.
When we were trying to like shut something down, you weren't really sure if people were using it. Like, just do it.
Listen.
Do a scream test. See if the phone rings. Yeah.
We
phone's ringing. Turn it back on.
Smoke test.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Smoke test. Yeah.
Same kind of.
Also, one thing too is, when I first started my job, we didn't actually have work cell phones. We had little pagers.
I used to work at a place where we had one alphanumeric pager for the team.
Okay.
And it was a rotation, and we had to like take turns like carrying this damn thing.
Yeah.
And it like every Friday, I was just like, all right, who had that thing last?
Yeah.
Like, where is it? Like,
well, so we
would go a long time without going off, and then all of a sudden it would just like go off.
Yeah. So we all had our own, so they could just page whoever they wanted. But it was really funny. every once in a while, if all of us were kind of like in a group or something like that, and something did go down, it was like what you were talking about before, Andy, the spray and pray, and so all of our beepers started going off, and it was like, oh gosh, here we go. But
beepers.
I was just thinking back when I
Or
was at the
pager, whatever it
Comcast
is.
knock, we weren't allowed to page engineering. We never once in the years I was there, like you fixed it. There was no, I wouldn't even know how to page engineering. So it's interesting culture to culture. Like, no, we're break fix. This is our job. This is what we do. And that was from management. That was the culture there. We're not paging people. You fix it.
I remember the like when we were in the field, Andy. Did you guys ever have the push to talk Nextels?
No, but the contractors did. I remember.
Okay, they like by default. First of all, I get it, but like awful idea. Like
everybody
you
can hear everything, right?
Yeah, you just gotta understand like the type of dudes you're hiring here. Like I work here for a reason. Like, have you seen me? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I just remember like I was installing like some of these DVR once, and my buddy just started yelling. Like he's like, holy, expletive. Like he's like, you should see this mother expletive, and it's like volume like 12, right? Just coming out of my butt
At somebody's
basically.
house.
Yeah, because I'm on the ground, like on my knees, like like pressing the buttons or whatever, and my butt is just yelling at this dude's face, and I'm like, I feel so bad. But why that sucked? Well, of course, in that moment it sucked. But for the most part, why it sucked was that was how you found out, like if you were getting called out, was that same noise. Like they would just start talking to you. Like you'd have the Nextel just like sitting there, and all of a sudden somebody'd be like, "Dick, dick, dick, Aaron, hey Aaron!" Like it's freaking terrifying, like to wake you up in the middle of the night, like something like that too. Like God
disembodied
forbid.
voice screaming at you.
Right? Yeah,
Out
and it
of
was always
nowhere.
somebody different, right? Like whoever was working in the TAC that
Oh,
night,
gosh.
like or
You'd
the
like
knock.
get up ready to fight kind of thing.
Yeah, they're like, hey,
Who's
sorry
in
to
my
wake
house?
you up. Yeah, they're like, do you want to see if this clears? And I'm like slowly putting pants on. I'm like, yeah. And she's like, it might clear in like 20 minutes. I'm like, all right, I'll get the car started maybe. 20 minutes. I'm like, so what's up with that outage? What's going on with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still going.
Well-
Yeah, good, because I'm like almost there. I'm definitely almost there.
Yeah, Andy, probably you should be glad I didn't work with you during that time, because I'd be like, hey Andy, how's them hemorrhoids doing?
Oh, dude, God, I can only imagine.
What?
What a saboteur.
Nice.
That's how you get somebody in trouble. Like, you don't even have to know him. You just be like, hey, what's his push to talk number, It was like star something, something, something,
Okay.
And you can just start talking. You can just start talking to strangers. Like, what?
You watch your
Now-
buddy walk up to the customer house, you beep in like, yo, man, I got your butt cream. Beep.
Yeah, it was like that constantly. It was so bad.
that's perfect.
But like you had to have it on speaker though, because like if you were like climbing a telephone pole and you were doing something and you were like trying to get somebody to help,
Right.
like it was the best thing ever, because you could just, they'd be like, hey, okay, come down now, and you're like, okay, you didn't have to like grab it, you could just like hear him. I mean, so in ways it was like ahead of its time, but like to me it was just an annoyance when I was on call, because like, God, what an awful device.
Yeah, thank God they went away. AJ, do you have on call at your place? Because like you guys build things for customers, right? Like you wouldn't get a call that something you built 6 months ago is down, right? Like how does that work?
Right. So there's definitely periods of time where I could be on call, and it's usually immediately after we've delivered a solution.
Yeah,
Right. So,
okay.
and it's usually for me on calls is usually during business hours. So like, we deliver the solution, we implement it fully, we move into production, whatever. And then the next business day, if there's, a problem, then I'm on call, I'm on hook to, help them out.
Is that defined in the contract? Like we get X amount of time after the install to, bug these people for support?
Depending on
Yeah.
the project, we usually build in like so many hours of post-project or post-implementation support. A lot of our customers are also our managed services customers. So
Yeah, send them a support contract.
after the implementation, it moves directly to, there's a handoff between the professional services team and the managed services team. And, we walk through the solution, say, okay, here's what we installed. Here's the device IPs. Here's, usernames and passwords. they go into the devices, get them tied into the monitoring system, so that way they can start to monitor and watch the health of them and react if something goes wrong.
So you can sell them that service.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That makes
I'm
sense.
wondering if maybe it would be helpful, just maybe in our own words collectively, for anyone that maybe hasn't had the job yet, like pretty much every week we're like, yo, so-and-so got a new job, got a new help desk job, blah, blah, blah. But like a lot of people haven't been on call, or maybe haven't even like encountered what that's like. Maybe we should just kind of define it in our own words as a group. Like what is it, right? So like when you're going to get the job and you're, negotiating your hours, oftentimes with this position or IT positions in general, you can end up doing shift work, right? So these are important things to point out. So it's not easy to just say like, okay, normally your job is 8 to 5, on call is anything but that, because it could be, you could be running a swing shift, or, you could be working overnights or whatever, because then if you're on call, that would mean during the daytime. So really it's kind of like the offset of what you are out anytime you're out of your normal working hours. And typically, and I'll just add kind of a couple pieces here, and I want you guys to just kind of sprinkle on some color to this as we go, just so everybody kind of has their own little version, you know what I mean, in case we leave pieces out. But so you're on call, sometimes you get paid for the on call, right? Sometimes you could get like a daily on call pay. Sometimes they're in rotations. Sometimes they're always there. What am I leaving out here? Help a brother out.
Sometimes there's SLAs, right? Like if you're on call, you get a call, you have X amount of minutes before you're kind of like expected to be logging in, triaging, reporting back kind of thing. Sometimes I've not worked at a place where this was a thing, but I have ever heard that when you're on call, you had like a travel radius. Like you were only allowed to go, so many miles away from your home or the main facility, wherever you were providing coverage.
Don't like that.
Interesting.
When I'm
Don't
like that.
Like I said, I have ever heard that was a thing. I've not personally experienced that myself.
When I'm on
I've
call
definitely
and
had
outside
to
of the
deal with-
house, my work laptop is in my backpack. I got my work
Yeah.
hotspot. Like, I might be at a baseball field with a kid. Like,
Hey,
signing
that's-
in, looking
Okay,
at
so
stuff.
That's a
that
good
could be a
point.
part of it too.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So anytime I travel anywhere, I take my work laptop with me, right?
Yeah.
Now,
Okay.
maybe not as extreme as what Andy's saying. Like, if I go to a restaurant or something like that, I don't take it with me. But if I travel out of town, even on my vacations, I always take my work laptop with me, just in case I need to jump on real quick and look at something. Because here's the thing: if my team is drowning and I'm on vacation, I'm not going to be that guy that just says, "Nope, I'm on vacation." I'm going to help my team out, right? But
Yeah.
so I always just take it with me. Now, luckily we haven't had that happen, but I definitely am not going to let my team drown. So yes,
I would say the frequency of being like when you're on call would be huge if you like when you're interviewing for a place, right? Because like you said, Dan, you're carrying a damn laptop around with you in case you got to sign in. You're basically working 24/7 when you're on call. So if you're on call a lot, if it's a small team, if it's 2 people, and every other week you're on call and their network's unstable and you're always carrying your laptop everywhere and the phone's always ringing, that's, there's a price to be paid for on call. Aaron made me think of it with the shift work. I worked mids. I worked a midnight shift at the NOC for a year, and I don't want to say it almost killed me, but like I couldn't sleep. I cannot work midnight to 8 and come home and go to bed. I tried everything they say, but so that the price for shift work for me, I just couldn't do it. It was killing me. And it's kind of the same with on call. Like if you're getting woken up a lot, if you're carrying stuff around, you never know when the phone's going to ring. That can be stressful, and it's hard to find. How do you find that out in an interview? If that environment is that bad, they might not tell you.
Right.
Because they
But
need
I think
people.
I
think
think
that
maybe the
they-
goal is to like know that's kind of like this right
Yeah.
now, right? Like AJ brought up some points that I'd never heard of, and in fact, like he's never even encountered before. He just knows that like that kind of stuff is out there. I think the more that we can bring up right now, it might be helpful, So these things are in the back of your mind. So
Yeah.
And I'm not saying like red flags necessarily, like, you know, because it's hard to pry that deep into one subject without it even especially making it look like you're like trying to like get out of something, you know, like that's pretty sus. Like, so tell me more. Like, so what happens if I don't answer my phone right away? You know, like that type of thing. Like, I don't want to go down that road, buddy, but you know what I mean? So like bringing up, you know, other stuff like that. AJ, you said you were going to say something.
Yeah. So I worked at a small company that they didn't have on call, but the person before me that did IT took phone calls outside of normal working hours and assisted people. They just didn't formalize it and call it on call, and that expectation wasn't set, you know, when I was hired on, kind of thing. And so we had an IT team. We then, you know, we got the pager, we did the rotation, we set up some SLAs, you know, so we set up some expectations for people, you know, when it was okay to call. Like, if you're working a weekend and, you know, your printer's not working, save it to Monday, you know, kind of thing. Like, but if you're working on a critical project, you get locked out of your account, you know, whatever, like, you know, call us, we'll help you figure it out, kind of thing.
So maybe like, what does on call even entail, right? Like, like what constitutes like an on-callable situation?
Exactly.
See, I feel like in the job description, you always see like occasional nights and weekends, right?
Yeah.
I
mean, that could mean maintenance windows. Could mean, you know, the job descriptions are usually general in nature, right? Like it's like fishing. Let's get them in the door. So it's
a good point.
It's tricky, man. Yeah. To know what you're getting into, right?
So I guess in that vein, Aaron, like let's kind of discuss compensation for that. Like, some people are salaried, they don't get any additional compensation. I've heard situations where people that were salaried did get extra compensation for being on call. They got like just a kickback for being on call, regardless of whether or not they got a call.
Okay.
And then if they got a call,
you get more.
Then they got more.
Yep.
They got paid basically an hourly rate on top of their salary for having to be on call.
So kind of like a bonus then, I guess.
Yeah.
Right.
Interesting. Because like I always wondered how they would do that, because typically the being hourly was what made that so easy, because, you know, once you go over the 40, you know, I mean, obviously time and a half type of thing, but it wasn't like you were going to hit 40. So it's like, okay, so if I was on call Tuesday and Wednesday, like I might hit 40 hours by Wednesday, right? But I wouldn't be getting overtime during the on-call period, right? I would actually be on overtime on my normal working hours on Thursday and Friday.
Well,
it would just total up.
And also, so we just got a new CIO, and he came in and like we, you know, our teams met with him and everything like that. And that was one of the things he actually said was, you know, hey, I understand. He actually came from infrastructure side, so, or his background is in infrastructure. He was actually a network engineer, which I thought was kind of cool.
Nice.
But he said that he understands, you know, how the infrastructure life is, and so he is not like a clock watcher. And so I think what he meant by this was, let's say the same scenario, right? 11 o'clock, I get a call, and I've got to work on it for 2 or 3 hours or something like that, and then I get it done. Well, you know what? If I come in a little bit later the next day, you know, they're not going to worry about that, because they know that, hey, Dan had an on-call that he had to do, fix a production issue or whatever, and they're not gonna be upset with that, right? They're not gonna sit there and be like, hey, you know, it's 9:30 and you're supposed to be here at 8, you know, that kind of thing. So I think that's something that you need to fill out in an interview, right? And I don't think that's like a shady question to ask, because like when I was doing some interviews with people, they would ask that, right? They were like, hey, like I had one guy come in, he was like, hey, how would you rate your network? Like, do you think it's 0 being unstable and 10 being, you know, super stable? And I was like, that's an interesting question, because I've never had anyone ask me that. Because, you know, I think a piece of us are always like let's say, you know, you're a Tennessee Vols fan and someone asks you, hey, how good is your team? And there's those Vols fans that are like, oh, they're the best team out there, when they really suck, you know, that kind of thing. Nah.
So what was your number, and did you hire them?
I'm trying to think what I said. I think it was about a 6 or a 7. You know, it wasn't. It's not. You know, there's things that are missing, but I kind of actually went over with them what I just told you guys about. You know, when I first started, you know, it wasn't in the best shape, and we got called a lot, but now it's, not as much.
Was that his goal when he asked you that, though, you think, to figure out if like on call was going to be a pain in the ass
for
or
sure.
not?
And
Okay.
yeah, because he
It's a smart way
started
to
alluding
ask it,
to
right?
it,
Yeah,
like,
very
Yeah,
good.
that's what I'm saying.
Right.
Like, I was really smart.
yeah, but I thought, I think one of the guys that was in the room, I think they kind of were like afterwards, they were like, why would you ask that? And I was like, well, I think what he's trying to see is like, is he walking into a train wreck, or or is he, walking into where?
Man, you can learn a lot. Dan, how have you been hiding that question for this long from us? I almost now we were talking about the goat earlier and how Andy now I feel violated because
Well, I'm
you've been holding that away from us for this long. Like, what a friggin' gem that is.
Yeah.
Like how stable. Like, what? That are you kidding me? Because like we're talking about it in the context of like how crappy is my on-call experience going to be, but like, gosh dang, like let's just name them off now. Like, what kind of things can I gain from you by asking that question, right?
Yeah.
I can see what kind of budget you guys use, like how much money you spend, right? Like, how frivolous are you?
it was a really
right?
good question.
How forward thinking you are, like, how smart all of you all are, right? Like, how much freedom do you have? Like, gosh dang, that question is endless, man.
Yeah, and
But then I think to Dan's point, like, you want to believe the best in your network, and you might rate it maybe a little bit higher, than
So then
you
maybe
maybe ought to, because you overlook certain blemishes about your network because it's your baby.
yeah.
So why?
But
yeah,
that-
but
you
totally.
can read
But
into
why,
that as
why not
well,
ask
though,
it differently?
how someone answers.
Yeah, why not? But ask it differently. Not,
Yeah,
not ask that like, what do you like about it? Be like, okay, if you like, what 3 things would you change about your network?
Yeah, that's a good way to do it. Yeah.
Now we're getting tricky. now we're getting. I want to hear
gonna
from
take
Tim.
some notes.
I want to hear from Tim before we
Yeah.
run out of time here. Tim, what's have you been on
What
call
say you?
in your network engineering career thus far?
Yeah, so I've actually seen multiple sides of it in the industry that I'm in. So at the place I'm at now, I started on the end user computing side. So that was very much the hourly. When you were on call, you got X amount per day, and then when you got called in, you got whatever for X amount of hours. And then for the last 8 years now, I've been salaried on the network engineering team, and yeah, it's a rotation basis, but I'm kind of in a position now where I'm kind of one of the unspoken escalation points. So even if there's times where I'm not on call, if there's a big enough issue, they're going to pull me in, which is completely fine. I mean, like Dan was saying, this is my network, this is my baby, I want to help. So yeah, I've seen both sides of that. I do kind of want to go through kind of a list of tips, and then have any of you guys add on as well. And a few of these are going to sound really familiar from the soft skills episode, so a little bit of repeat there, but some things that I think are really important when you're on call, especially when things come in after hours, especially when you are getting woken up and it takes time to figure out where you even are, and you're trying to, get information on what's
my
broken
name?
And who
It's
are
only
you?
2
How'd you get
letters.
this number?
When you're sitting in your underwear eating Cheetos, that kind of thing, right?
In my beanbag chair, Dan.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah, that one.
So some of the things I want to talk about, it may sound simple, but it's not always when you've got a million things coming at you at once, is remain calm. You want to be that cool head under pressure, because when you're trying to fix a large issue like that, you may be on a call with a bunch of people. You want to keep the cool head. You want to set the tone for the troubleshoot. And it's only going to make you look good. Number 2, communicate, because a lot of these things happen when they do happen after hours or on weekends. Your whole team, including your management, isn't working along with you always. So when there are issues, I think it's important to especially communicate to management and your team that, hey, I got called in on this. I'm working through these steps. I spent X amount of time. We got it resolved. I think management really appreciates that. So communicate. I think a really important one, especially if you're in a team environment, is know when to ask for help. So, and that's kind of that back to that prioritization thing, in that when an issue comes in, if it's something that came to you is an on-call issue, but it's not a network down emergency, but it's something you haven't seen before, you can kind of gauge, I think, in how much time you're willing to give yourself to troubleshoot through it. But if there is a massive issue going on and it's something you haven't seen before, you need to know that you need to ask for help probably pretty quickly in those situations. And then when you do have to ask for help, know how to be grateful to those people who you had to ask for help at 3:00 in the morning. I think that really helps the team environment too, to not just shrug that off, thank them, do what you got to do to show that you were grateful. And then when you do get that call in the middle of the night, I feel like we bring her up in every episode now, but do the Tanea method. Take your time, give yourself your 5 seconds to collect yourself. I almost guarantee you whoever's calling you on the other end will understand that you need a few minutes to figure out where you are, who you're talking to, that kind of thing. And then the last thing I got is it can be stressful. So try not to let it consume you and ruin your day, your week, whatever your period of time that you're on call, especially for somebody like Dan, where you've got a set of applications or systems where you own them and you're on call at all times. Just do what you can to maintain a positive attitude and just don't let it run your life.
Great points, Tim. I want to echo what you said about asking for help. So, swallow your pride. There's no shame in asking for help. I'm a senior deployment engineer and I bounce stuff off other engineers all the time.
Yep.
I would much rather, I will give myself a period of time to troubleshoot it, learn about it, whatever. And if I get stuck, I can't figure it out, I bounce stuff off other people like, hey, here's what I'm working with. And if you are going to run something up to someone, bring that information to them.
Definitely.
You just don't, you don't want to be like, well, okay, I'm stuck. Okay, well, what'd you do?
Yeah.
What'd you try? So lead off with that information. Like, hey, I'm looking at this problem. Here's what I've done, and I still can't figure it out.
Yeah.
What say you? What are your thoughts on this? And if there's definitely I would say the opposite of that, right? Like always asking for help. If you constantly get, or not constantly, but if you're on call, you get a call, and the first thing you do is punt it to somebody else and say, "Yeah, I can't figure this out." Like, well, did you look at it? Well, no, I just thought I'd ask you because you're really smart. You're never gonna get that experience yourself, and learn if you don't attempt it and give yourself the opportunity to try to take care of it.
That's a good point. There's a certain amount of pain and stress you have to put yourself through on call because you don't have the answer and you have to dig and you're not sure. And there's pressure. If you're on a bridge,
that'll stick in your skin too. Like the more you get in those situations, the easier and more gracefully you can handle them in the future.
Yeah. That first one's rough.
I can't echo what you just said anymore, but the pride thing, that's one thing that I preach to people on my team about is don't dude, the way I operate is if I'm starting to have an issue and I know that I'm gonna have to start doing some research to figure it out, right? Like I'm talking about not just a quick Google search and then I got it. I'm talking about like I've got to dig and dig and dig kind of thing. Dude, let me get that tech case open and get that sent off because tech takes a little while to answer their emails now. But
Wait, you don't call?
That's not a dig. I'm messing.
You got to call, man.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Especially if something's down, right? And then you
got a P1, bro.
Yeah.
Get on my WebEx now.
Hey, I will say, if there's any TAC engineers that are listening to our podcast,
Mansoor.
Mansoor. But I feel absolutely horrible selecting that P1. Like I was working with the guy, a contractor. And dude, that cat wanted to do a P1 on everything, and I'm like, dude, this is not. We haven't even installed this yet. Like, it's not
crying wolf all the time. They're not gonna believe anybody.
I believe so much in karma when it comes to that. Like, I never put P1,
he's
even if it's
everybody.
like stuff's on fire. I'm like, I still don't think everything's down, so it's not a P1 just yet. But I'm just saying that, but take your priority.
Well, the wireless is still working, so there's not a problem here. Yeah, but the internet's down. Wireless doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly. So, but yeah, take the pride out. Like, don't That's one thing that bugs me, I think, is, and I understand we're in a field where it takes some intellect to figure this stuff out, and I feel like we get, you get alpha dogs, I guess, if you want to say that, in our field. And because I've definitely have heard people just belittle people for not knowing why something's not working, and that right there is just rude. That's just insane.
It's not helpful.
Nope. All you're doing is you're making the situation worse. You're not helping the situation at all.
That's how you get a hang up from me. That's for sure.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, I'm not even going to talk to you anymore if you start doing that. So, I take that pride and just hang it up on the wall, and like, let's just figure it out, kind of thing.
So, Andy, what does it look like for you now since you've moved away from the WAN team and you're on more of that, what I'll call enterprise team? That's probably not the right word for it, but
let's call it backbone.
Backbone, okay. Is it different? Is it about the same size of people?
Is the on-call experience different? Oh man, you put me on the spot here.
Well, from what you've been talking about, you've been doing more like maintenance windows than on-call stuff, right?
I mean, there is an on-call schedule. I have received one. I've been called once on call on my new team. What's nice is the knock is amazing. So I've been at places where they're less amazing. So they're super knowledgeable and very good. And I'm really only getting called because they need somebody to make a decision that they don't feel comfortable making. Like a design decision. Like, hey, this thing broke. It broke because of the design. We can fix it, but we need to talk to the people who designed it before, because if they're going to change the design to fix it,
right?
That's kind of, so it's different. There are more devices. It's bigger. It's global or different technologies, but the knock is so good that it's really helpful. I don't know if I'm answering your question. I'm kind of dancing around it, but
no, you are. So it's not that problems aren't happening, but you have an actual network operations center that's fielding those initial calls and able to do a fair amount of the resolution.
Yeah.
Very sharp and very enabled.
Okay.
And maybe that's culture, but yeah, they top down, get it working as fast as you can. Like, it probably sounds obvious. Like, nobody likes outages and like everything has to be working. But you said enabled, right? Like giving people the power that can fix it.
Yeah.
Like, because in other teams I've been in other areas, they didn't have the power. So they would just page everybody and let other people figure it out, fix it. Oh, we don't own that gear. So, they look in the database and say, oh, well, these are the owners, so kick it to them, as opposed to where I'm at now, which they're enabled, they know what they're doing, and they can get it fixed, which results in much less calls for us. Like, you can have a knock who isn't the best, and I'm very fortunate where I'm at that the knock is brilliant. The Automacha that we had on came from the knock, and that dude's just next level. So apparently he was surrounded by people like him. So I'm fortunate that I don't get called much, I guess.
Well, I think it might be important to note also that I think that might be dictated by the size of the organization as well. You said that you've been in some organizations that have a great knock, an organization that maybe didn't have a great knock. I've never heard Dan even talk about a knock, so I don't even know if he's got one. I just think it depends as well, and that's again back to the interview process. I'm really glad that Aaron brought that up at the beginning. Is that interview process is just as much about you getting to know about what you're walking into as them getting to know you. So
yeah, and that's important. And it's funny the different stages of your career, because when I interviewed for the job, my first network engineering job out of the knock, they could have told me that I'd be on call forever and I'd be like, yeah, great, let's do it. Like when you're trying to get that first gig,
yep.
I think I'd have a different answer now of like,
I think when you first get in, like there's this like element of excitement, like you got your first IT job and you're on call.
And you'll do anything because it's so hard to get that foot in the door and get that first gig. Like, yeah, sure. you're the only one here. You'll always be on call. We'll always be calling you. Great. When do I sign up?
Yeah.
But then you get some experience.
I think that changes like you get older.
Yeah,
you get a family,
I was just about
you have
to
other
say
priorities.
that.
Like
Yeah.
you don't want to be on call.
And then you talk to people and plug into the community, and you talk to people like, oh yeah, I'm hardly ever on call, and when I am, I don't get called. Like, wait a minute, that's a thing.
Yeah.
Like, what am I doing here? So
Well,
yeah.
so for me, like when I first started, I wasn't married and I didn't have a kid, right? And so being on call really wasn't that crazy because I didn't. I don't want to say it like I didn't have a life back then, but I kind of didn't have a life back then compared to my family time I have now. And so yeah, there was a difference there. It did not bother me that much back then, but now it's like, all right, dude, I've got other stuff I got to do now.
Yeah.
So I think our priorities changes as we get older and our family starts growing and stuff like that.
So I got a question for Aaron. As an SE, I've heard of plenty of situations like, when you have to call TAC, like, oh, call the account manager, call the SE, like they can help escalate, our case and help us get resolution. As in your role as an SE, is that anything that you've had to be involved in?
I would make sure that whatever organization that you worked for, that you asked that question up front.
Did you or did you not?
That's
Nice.
And that's where I will leave that.
Oh gosh.
Practice what you preach.
Yeah,
You know what
yeah.
I'm saying?
Very good.
All
Excellent.
right.
I
Anyway.
love it. I love it.
Yeah, no, not really. I don't. That's not like a thing. It could be, right? But like that, we know what like the direct line would be. There's nothing that I could do
Sure.
in any of the SE roles that I've ever been in. There's nothing I could have done to make something go faster than you calling our engineers directly.
Sure.
Okay.
Because I don't have access to any of those systems. It would just be a tribal thing. Like, hey, I know so-and-so, I know so-and-so, but like you're calling the same place I would call,
Okay.
I actually call the same number,
But even though you can't, I would see like managers of places with stuff broken, like call everybody. Remember that guy Aaron who sold it to us?
Oh,
Like,
dude,
get him on the
no,
phone
when I
too.
was,
yeah.
it was the worst when I was in the field, quite honestly, because then because you'd be like, hey, if this breaks again today, like just call me directly, like I'll come back over here because I don't know what's going. No, bad idea.
Yeah.
You only do that once or twice. You learn like don't ever do that again.
Yeah.
But you're just trying to save yourself from having a repeat.
I did that all the time, and it was awful.
Yeah, because it'd be like, dude, 24 months later,
Yeah.
like no joke, like hey,
They wrote
I
your
don't know
number
if you
down on a
remember
post-it
me.
note, stuck it right next to the thing, so when it broke, they know exactly what to call.
It's like you've
That's
already
exactly
changed
what they
jobs,
did.
but they're still calling your cell phone number.
Oh, that happened. That happened so many times. Like when I worked at Charter, especially. Like I was like, I am no longer in the field, actually. And then I would be escalating like that. Like, let's call the guy. I actually know the guy still. Hold on, let me just push to talk him real quick and start talking about his butt. Hey, dude, what are you doing? I was with a customer. Sorry, bro. But yeah.
Excellent. Any other thoughts on call before we wrap it up, guys?
I think that's all I got, man.
I think we've about covered it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we hammered it pretty good. It's a dirty word. It's a necessary evil. None of us want to do it. If you can get extra money while you're negotiating, that would be smart because
Know what you're getting yourself into.
Absolutely.
it's time, right? Time is our greatest, asset. So when you're on call, there's more time you're going to be working potentially, and it'd be
Even if you never get called, I just think about what that does to limit your behavior and your extracurricular activities.
and mentally knowing that phone could ring at
Yeah.
any moment when you're on call. So get extra money, like Dan said, get some comp time. They're all really good ways to don't let them own you with that salary and then just be under that stress and duress.
Right.
And
Exactly.
good parting
Right
thoughts.
on.
Excellent. Well, super excited to announce next week we are recording our sponsored episode with Open Gear, and we will be doing some very exciting giveaways. We will be giving away some books and some additional swag that will include items from the podcast as well as some swag from Open Gear. So look for the announcement of those giveaways on our social media accounts, and while you listen to us, we'll let you know how you can enter to win those exciting giveaways.
Very cool. Thank you to Open Gear for helping us help
Big
our
thank
community.
you to Open Gear for that.
Yeah, we're gonna talk
we got
about
a super exciting guest from those guys.
Yeah.
So,
But
looking
more
forward to that.
importantly, not just specifically to Open Gear, we get to talk about something that we've never talked about before.
Absolutely.
Yep.
We have been working very hard on this with our sponsor Open Gear on how do we stay true to our format while still doing sponsored content. We think we've got it figured out. We're super excited to get this episode recorded and get it out to you guys and await your feedback. So keep us honest. Make sure we're staying true to our type here and let us know what you think.
I think you won't be disappointed. I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm pumped.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, thanks a lot, guys. Have a great night, and we'll see you next week.
See you.
Hey, everyone, this is AJ. If you like what you heard today, then make sure you subscribe to our podcast on your favorite podcatcher. Smash that bell icon to get notified of all of our future episodes. Also, follow us on Twitter and Instagram. We are at Art of NetEng. That's Art of NETENG. You can also find us on the web at artofnetworkengineering.com, where we post all of our show notes. You can read blog articles from the co-hosts and guests, and also a lot more news and info from the networking world. Thanks for listening.